I think one of the most important things is helping a person get to know themselves. And I think that's one of the brilliant things about Ayurveda, is that it helps us to get to know ourselves by knowing our Prakriti, by knowing our unique makeup of the 5 elements. Then we get to know who we are, and we get to know what things cause us to become imbalanced, what things cause us to feel fearful, and what things deplete our energy, what things are toxic for us, what kinds of energies are toxic for us. And so with that knowledge, then we can create health. Ayurveda says that we create health by knowing who we are, like having a deep knowing of who we are. And the other way of putting it is that it's easy to find ourselves in a state of imbalance by just not knowing who we are and what our needs are. Well, in general, depression is understood as depletion, which I think is quite interesting. It's both toxicity and depletion. So the idea is that if we're out of balance with what we eat in our lifestyle, we have chronic stress, chronic or excessive busyness, overstimulation. Our senses are being overstimulated and bombarded with information and demands and activities. Then we can get overstimulated or toxic, and then that is depleting. It sees the mind and the body and the mind as inseparable. So you can affect the mind through the body, and also by working directly with the mind, you can create a feeling of vitality and well-being in the body, which is really, I think it's something that people are coming more to understand, sort of the mind-body connection. The symptoms are considered very valuable because the symptoms give us a clue about what's going on in the underlying doshic balance or elemental balance. So the symptoms are considered very important, and we want to be able to listen to them to really get clues about what's going on. And then addressing the underlying imbalance or the root cause with food, nutrition, herbs, meditation, yoga, pranayama, and lifestyle. We can get an accumulation of the elements, which we call, there are the 3 doshas, which are made up of the 5 elements. So we can either, some of our doshas can be deficient or lacking, and some of them can be sort of overflowing and accumulated. So when that happens, we have a doshic imbalance, and we need to correct that. We need to bring that into balance so that we can feel a sense of harmony within ourselves and a harmony with the world around us. So in a sense, Ayurveda is all about relationships, our relationship with ourselves, with the consciousness of who we are, with kind of remembering the bigger picture, that we're made up of consciousness, that we're not just this separate person that's outside of the web of life and trying to survive, embrace ourselves, and but that a true sense of health and happiness and joy and well-being, mentally, emotionally, and physically, is this sense of feeling in harmony, in rhythm with ourselves, and in rhythm with the natural world around us. So we use the basic relationships of our life to nurture and cultivate that balance. So food is one of them. We all have a daily relationship with food. Lifestyle, when we eat the food, how we eat the food, what state of mind we are in when we eat food, so to speak. When we sleep, how we sleep. So food and sleep are just the basic relationships of our health and of our feelings of well-being. My goal is to kind of stabilize the person, like we talked about, like cleanse or clear any toxins, mental emotions, mental, emotional, and physical, enkindle the digestive fire, and nourish the system, no matter what your dosha is. Really nourish the tissues, especially in the case of depression, the nervous system tissue, the brain and the nervous system. And then from there, the body can heal itself. If we're holding a lot of toxins in our body, what in Ayurveda they say is that it gets in the way of our intelligence and our wisdom. So all the cells and all the tissues need to communicate with each other. The body's intelligent and the body's conscious. And when we have ama, A-M-A, ama is the word for toxins, it clouds up, sort of like gunks up the channels of communication. So we can't get through messages, and so the body can't function optimally. We need to have strong Agni so that we can digest our food and assimilate it really well. And also a really important point is clear, balanced Agni also helps us to digest emotions and experiences. Because just like we can have undigested food and toxins hanging around, in our tissues we can have undigested experiences and emotions that are just sort of like locked there. And so Agni and detoxification are part of how we can clear that. If we're depleted, nutrition has to filter through all the tissues of our being. And one of the tissue layers in Ayurveda is majas, or nervous tissue, nervous system tissue. So that's the brain, the nervous system. And if that's depleted, and it's depleted for many people, but especially with depression, then we don't have the strength and the energy to stabilize our thoughts and our moods, our thoughts and emotions. So by detoxifying and re-nourishing a person through food, through herbs, through rest, relaxation, meditation, then a person's actual tissues and vitality are strengthened. And they have the strength and the kind of stability to feel a sense of stability and well-being in their thinking and in their emotions. The key that the foods that we eat also have an effect on our emotional and mental balance or imbalance. So we can use food energetically to bring ourselves into balance. And there's a principle in Ayurveda called like increases like, and opposites are medicine. So for instance, if I was a kapha person and I had symptoms of depression that were like sluggishness and weepiness and sleeping a lot, a medicine for me would be pungent foods, so spicy foods, ginger and black pepper and cayenne pepper. And in terms of lifestyle, it would be like vigorous activity, like moving around. And that would be sort of an opposite antidote for this kind of heavy feelings of sluggishness or sleepiness or sadness. And then with Vata's depression, it tends to be very ungrounded, very kind of scattered, waking up in the middle of the night, can't sleep, anxious, panicky. And foods that would be helpful, or a taste that would be helpful for Vata, would be sweet tastes, so like root vegetables and warm milk and grains are considered sweet. And sweet taste is grounding and comforting, and also nourishes the nervous system. I use herbs and botanicals in 3 specific ways. The first way is making sure the digestion and the digestive fire, or the Agni, is strong and clear, because we have to be able to digest our food well. in order to receive the nutrients and clear out any waste or toxins. So the first thing I would do is make sure a person's digestive fire, or their Agni, is balanced. And so for instance, I might use ginger, suggest ginger as one of those herbs that can help to enkindle digestive fire. And then secondly, the second way I would use botanicals would be for detoxification. So detoxifying the channels, clearing out the channels. And the main herb that I use for that is triphala, which is really an amazing blend of 3 super antioxidant and cleansing fruits. So triphala. So that cleanses the GI tract and the liver. And then thirdly, the third way that I use herbs is as nourishment and rejuvenation. And the word in Ayurvedic for that is rasayana, so rejuvenative herbs. And 2 rejuvenative herbs that I use most commonly are ashwagandha, and that has a real strengthening effect on the nervous system, and also shatavari, which has a similar effect of strengthening the nervous system and balancing pitta in the mind. Meditation is one of the ways to help people with depression. And what that can do is, again, help people to get to know their own minds. So this idea of returning to your breath, or returning to a point of focus again and again, and noticing the busyness of our minds, noticing the different thoughts that we have, either always thinking about the past or always thinking about the future. And meditation helps us return again and again to a direct experience of the present, and we can cultivate that more. And the possibility is that if we cultivate more of a sense of being in the present, or having a direct experience of how things are right now, then we naturally feel our sense of harmony with ourselves and harmony with the world around us. So we feel this sense of the consciousness of who we are, sort of the big picture of who we are. There's no contradiction whatsoever. Some people need the medication to have a base or a foundational sense of kind of support and balance, and then they can still get a sense of their Ayurvedic constitution and get to know themselves better, and use the lifestyle tips to reduce stress and reduce stressful situations, and open up to more things that are pleasurable and nurturing for them. So I think that they can work hand in hand. Ayurveda is just very nurturing and very, you use the word empowering, which I think is right on. So it's very nurturing and very empowering for anybody to use. So the way that I integrate Ayurveda in my practice is I have a polarity therapy practice, and polarity therapy is an energy medicine, and the foundation or the principle of polarity therapy come from Ayurveda, the 5 elements, and this view that we are a microcosm of the macrocosm, and that our highest potential is really kind of realizing that. And so I do the hands-on energy work here in my practice with person on the table, but I also give lifestyle, nutrition, herbal, pranayama, and meditation support, so that people can really learn how to take care of themselves. And I just want to also say that I think is one of the most profound things about Ayurveda, that it gives people guidance and tools of how to take care of ourselves.